Welcome back, traders and investors, to Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep, brought to you by MarketFi. I'm your co-host, Joel L. Conan, along with Garrett Cook and Brianna Valesky, and we have Sang Lucci on the line. He is a founder and head trader at sanglucci.com. How you doing today?
What's up, guys? What's going on?
What's going on? Got a poppin' apple there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. She's getting thrown into the Dow here. So this thing all of a sudden woke up after 6 days of nonsense.
The other side of that, AT&T, looks like it's moving lower. It's going to be the one that's getting replaced by Apple.
Oh, is that right? Is that right? I
At
stopped
least-
watching this thing.
At least according to WSJ.
Isn't that something? The day I hold on to a couple 128 puts, weekly puts, and that's the day that they put Apple into the Dow. How's that
It's
for
funny.
timing?
It's funny how that works, my friend. It's funny how that works.
Oh, my Lord. So let's talk Apple. I mean, this is big news. Wasn't really that much anticipated. I mean, it's been talked about before, giving it a big boost here. Are you tempted to fade this move, or are you just going to go with the flow?
You know what? To be honest, like if you missed the move from 120 to 134, you know that's where sort of all that easy money was. So even with this news here, it's not that big of a deal. She's already a part of the S&P here. Dow sucks anyway. It's not like anybody uses this thing anymore. But maybe with Apple now in the picture on the Dow, you know, maybe all of a sudden people will start using this as sort of the index again to watch the market. But I highly doubt it. So I think this thing just sits around 130 for a while. But soon enough, absolutely, it'll be a screaming dip buy, and it'll keep going and going and going and going.
Lucci, I got to get your views. We're always talking, well, not we, but you hear around the street, yesterday CNBC was really hammering on this whole tech bubble situation. What do you think about the pricing in the tech sector?
You do, Garrett, you and I, we'll go back. You and I come from the same school, man. I think it's absolutely absurd, man. You know, the valuations on all this social media stuff. I mean, dude, we hear about new apps coming out all the time, especially in, even online dating, you name it, man. We get a new app every week that is valued in the billions. It is absolutely insane. I think it's garbage. I think eventually, this whole bubble does pop. It has to pop. This is the natural order of things.
I know you focus on price a lot, just being more of a focused trader as opposed to the fundamentals. But I mean, you have views on this stuff. What do you think Apple's going to end up doing then with perhaps a TV, something to this effect? I mean, do you really see any major innovation coming along? Because all I've seen since the iPhone came out, which is still an amazing piece of equipment,
Right.
we've really only just kind of changed screen sizes, or other companies went and copied it.
Absolutely, but I do think the wearables it will be the next thing. It will be the next thing. The watches. I do think that market is definitely going to explode as sort of the new way to access your life, manage your life, kind of thing. So it's part of the lifestyle, and Apple is at the forefront. So, even if it's a TV, this car situation, I'm not a big fan of. I don't even think they should be throwing it out there like, we're moving into the car business. But absolutely, I think innovation as far as the wearables will continue here, and they got plenty of time left here before their sort of juice runs out.
So does a guy like you, I mean, as far as tech is concerned, are you looking for an actual device you can use, such as something Apple creates, or are you looking for something that can be improved upon? If you can get a new AMD chip, or you can get a new Intel chip, is this something you'd be interested in as far as your trading or your business operations?
I would say the day where you can get sort of a really advanced order execution type platform through your phone by just, let's say, like big button type kind of thing where you're looking at, let's say, a level 2 and a tape, and all you have to do is kind of click a button that, let's say, is coded to do some advanced kind of order type trades. That is something that I would totally use, but you got to realize, like, we're in the brokerage world, we're kind of behind as far as tech goes. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, people have mobile platforms and E-Trade and things like that, but it's not advanced to the level that I would want to use it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go mobile because my trading platform is so robust and necessary that there's no reason I would ever go mobile with it. If there was an app, though, that was created, absolutely, that technology is not there yet. and there's a gap to fill, absolutely, in that.
So let me get some price levels from you then. I mean, we're talking Apple, we're talking AMD, and we're talking Intel. You know, I'm looking at a chart on Intel right now, and it seems to be floating around this $34 mark. You know, stock gets up to 38. Looks like towards the end of 2014 and comes back down. And AMD pretty much looks like if you just reversed the INTC chart, you get that. I mean, are you pair trading any of these? Are you actively trading any of these tech names right now aside from Apple?
Aside from Apple, like, you won't see me trade a lot of these bellwethers. So the Microsofts of the world, the Intels of the world. Again, I feel like these are the companies that, as far as from a trading perspective, it's difficult. It's difficult to make money on an intraday basis. So, I'll usually stay away from these chip makers, the software companies, the HPs of the world, even the IBMs of the world. I'll usually stay way away from these because, it's not as, the social media space, the other side, the internet tech space, that's where the juice is right now.
That's the way it seems, and I mean, I'm trying to look for one of these companies that's actually going to be ahead of the game as opposed to some of these guys that are playing catch-up.
Right.
I mean, that's how Apple looks right now with this car. I mean, it's interesting and it's crazy talk. Maybe we're mute to it because we hear about it all day long, but this whole Apple car stuff seems very desperate. So I'm looking for somebody that's coming out with, a new chip or a new style. And Microsoft seems to kind of be turning itself around, though. And I still hear a lot of hate on this whole Windows 10, and I know people don't like Windows 8, but I've been impressed with what Microsoft's been able to do. What you got? Any specific thoughts on Microsoft?
Honestly, Garrett, I think people are still salty from Windows 8, man. I think people are still very salty from Windows 8, and them being able to come back from that product, from the failure of that product, and continue to reproduce an operating system that, everybody sort of uses. I think as soon as they fell off with Windows 8, people were looking for other solutions, So you had, different sort of operating systems coming out there competing for that business, and Microsoft definitely slipped there.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about these guys, and even just getting back to the wearables, because I have seen a couple of notes coming across from the analysts this morning. I mean, you're a fashion forward kind of guy. I mean, would you really care to use this just for your health, or I mean, I'm trying to get the input because you seem to be on the edge of things. I mean, whether you're in Boston or you're in New York, you seem to kind of have an idea of what's what's going on.
Definitely. I think remember, the access to information has to be immediate. It has to be seamless. It has to work with how you move, with how you interact, with how you talk to everybody. So, being on the train and being unable to respond to something, you might see it on your watch, so you can just visualize it. You can see what's going on, and then just kind of speak into it and get things taken care of. So it's all about sort of taking care of business on that second-to-second basis. So the wearables, I mean, I'm seeing it pop up already everywhere. There's a lot of people with the Google Watches, the Apple Watches. And as far as fashion forward, like, it's not going to take, once it starts popping off and once everybody starts wearing these things, it's not going to be long for everybody to start rolling out fashion forward type examples of it. You know what I mean? Where you can, let's say, change the color so that it'll match with what you're wearing. You know what I mean? So just like the Beats headphones, you'll have the similar situation. So everybody, when they look at your watch, it'll just be bright red or it'll be bright green or whatever the hell it is that you want to match with your clothes. So absolutely, man. As far as the fashion forward goes, it's going to bring a whole level of, let's say, subtleness and pop to your wardrobe.
Lucci, I know you like to read the tape and what's going on in the markets. Now, got some big news on Bank America here. And it's moving. This is a big move for Bank America.
It's huge. It's huge. I came in this morning. I was gonna buy 16 and a half calls on this before the close, and I'm like, yeah, I'll wait till tomorrow morning. And now I got a nice 40-cent gap up. So here's the corollary to your Apple put weekly that you held, and it went against you.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna maybe try and sneak onto that. Maybe we get a little vacuum on the day, especially if if these gains don't hold. I don't know if it's gonna go red on the day, but if these gains don't hold, it could be an ugly day. But not looking that way right now. But just from right now, like what you're seeing on the tape, going back to the Bank of America here. I mean, here's a stock that trades what, 70 million a day, 67 million a day, and it's
A lot more than that. It's in the hundreds here. It's in the hundreds, I believe.
okay. And you got some really good volume here trading in the pre-market.
Yep.
Will you use the pre-market levels? Like I'm looking at the pre-market high here, 1654. What I like to do in these situations is look at a couple, daily highs or lows. I see some resistance there. Are you not gonna fade this thing and maybe hope it comes back in? It doesn't look like much of a chance coming into yesterday's range. Are you gonna play from both sides or just one side?
Yeah, so what happens off these gap ups is that, in the option space and then just across the board is that, you get everybody sort of fighting to hop in these calls after the fact. So they're buying up high premiums and that sort of volatility just comes out. So usually when you get these big gap ups, they either just gap and go because they gap through an entry that everybody wanted and everybody has to hop in at the same time. So they kind of just gap and go. Some cases, in which case you'll see with this Apple and Bank of America, you get that overnight pop and then it just stalls out for the whole damn day. So when you look at your options, all that volatility sort of comes out of your options and you're looking at, let's say, a 20-cent option that goes down to 15 cents or 14 cents. So it's always better in these situations to wait to get in. I love this Bank of America to go to 18, 19 bucks here by the end of the year. I think it's still getting there. So the Goldman, the Citi, the JPM, you'll see JP Morgan already doing pretty well this morning. Wells Fargo here. Already close to all-time highs here. Bank of America is the laggard of the sector, but absolutely 16.5 around here. If she starts getting through this, I'm definitely buying a crap ton of calls. Absolutely.
Okay, and you're not really the market. You're focusing on the stocks. Boo's down 8.5, selling off the jobs number. So you're not. You have your idea on the stock and the market do what they want. You're going to play it according to your plan, correct?
Absolutely. And again, you always want to time this with moves on the index. So if you're looking at your S&P here, let's say, one day off of whatever report that might come out, econ report that might come out overnight, we start moving towards, let's say, 212 on the SPY, where the previous all-time high was. You want to time your entries on the banks with things like that. So absolutely. So I'm looking for that kind of timing here along with the rest of the banking sector as well as the indexes to give me that solid entry where I know when she gets to 16.5, she's going to get some follow through and I'm not going to get screwed buying, certain premiums on my calls.
Okay. All right. Good way to look at it. Let me throw some tickers at you here. I'm not sure if there's stocks that you trade or follow, but just
sure.
I know you're looking at the tape and just want to see what you're seeing in Lululemon. Downgrade. Goldman Sachs putting its foot on it. Don't know if I want to be stepping out on the buy side on this one. What's the tape telling you here? We found a buyer, it looks like, 62.50. Someone's making a stand here over the last hour or so. Not a ton of volume. What's the tape telling you, Lucci?
Honestly, here when things get too heavy one-sided, you could look at Netflix, for example. You could look at a lot of these names that have been bid up considerably, like this Lululemon, right? I mean, from 40 bucks all the way to 60, almost 70 bucks. Yesterday there was a report of some buyout rumor from a PE firm for $80 a share, I think. And then you get a downgrade here this morning. So I think now, this thing is very news sort of oriented, so that you're going to get a fade here off these highs back down to this gap from 62.5, which we're already there. So there's another gap here from 60 bucks. I wouldn't be surprised if we retest that, very soon.
Okay, another stock getting some pre-market action. Foot Locker, good earnings, gapping up here. Big move up. We got the spike up. Are you inclined to, maybe look for a pullback in this kind of thing, or boy, pulling back off the 60-50 level, maybe a potential short here in Foot Locker? Or do you stay out with something like this if it's not in your wheelhouse?
What happens here is that you see how long she's held under 58 bucks, it looks like, right? Mm-hmm. And again, sometimes you get those gap and go trades, right? The one that we alluded to before. Like when certain stocks have just done absolutely nothing for months, just sit in consolidation, all of a sudden there's some kind of news catalyst that pushes them outside of that zone. And provided everybody's still interested in this, you know, they sort of miss that long entry, let's say that breakout long entry, and all of a sudden they start bidding this thing up. So you might see this thing run up a little bit before you get a clean short on it. So I would definitely look at this thing off the open, and if she's able to hold 60 for the whole day, you know, you might see this thing at 62, 65 before she pulls back, you know?
Okay, we've been on the line with Sang Lucci, founder and head trader at sanglucci.com, giving us his views on the tape. We appreciate it. We hope to have you on again soon.
All right. Talk to you guys later.